Alright, welcome back to another episode of Putting Things into Perspective. This is episode 5. And I want to thank y'all for tuning in, even though this channel is few in numbers for right now. Like I said in my last podcast, is that a lot of things have changed, and I'm doing the best I can as far as like managing all that I have. You know, that's one thing to start something and another thing to be consistent. You know, as far as with that goes, you know, as far as with anything in life. But before I get into today's podcast, hope y'all doing fine and improving in all aspects of your life. You know, spiritually, that means getting right with God, mentally, physically, and emotionally. You want to make sure you take care of all those aspects in your life, starting from within. All the all the stuff on the outside is less. It's a less. In other words, it's not as important. It is important, but you want to start on the inside, because mentally, if you want to be able to accomplish anything, like even when it comes to getting in the gym, you know, we focus so much on the outside, but we don't really focus on the inside, which allows us to do those things. So if we're not right mentally, if we're not disciplined mentally, what makes you think we're going to stay in the gym as long as we know we should? But the title of this episode today is Immorality is at an all-time high. Now, we live in a age, and we've already had this many a times, like very inhumane things happening in the world, but right now it just seemed like it's being more amplified, if you will. And we're living in a day and age where evil is good and good is evil. We live in an age where people have no regard for life. They will literally celebrate your own downfall. They will prey on your downfall. So many times. It's sick and sad. We already know what has happened within the past 4 days, and now what his family has to deal with because of what this person had done. People want to ignore the facts that the media has been in control of all of the narratives. All of them. There are things that I still want to cover, but it's so much craziness and so much insanity that it's so hard to keep up with. And I get so tired of it. It's like it gets to a point to where I just want to do one good video that may be like a whole hour long, just covering every single thing that's happening in the world. I give my perspective and then I'm done. I take a month off and I'll come back the next month with some more stuff, instead of covering it every other day within a month. Even though I know I need to be consistent on this channel and also my other channels. But there's also times where you have to take time to really clean, you really have to clean yourself from all of this. You have to do like a detox, mental detox. That's what I'm trying to say from all of this. It gets to the point to where it's overwhelming, because every day, and even on the news, that's what I'm saying, there's some things I just don't know about. I found out when I got home late, like I'm talking about like late that actual evening, going on to the next thing, which was the 11th. That's when I found out. So before I went to bed, I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me I heard something. I said Charlie Kirk. I said, okay, I hope he's fine. I just heard that he had got attacked, like there was some shooting going on. They never said anything about an assassination on the news. They always do that. I'm gonna make a full video that will break that down of how the media does not use the correct words because it doesn't apply to the narrative. They say shooting. They don't say an assassination. They say shooting. So inside my mind, I'm like, okay, well, it was a shooting. I hope he's fine. But once I went and searched it out for myself, all I saw was Charlie Kirk dead at 31. That's all I saw. And I shook my head in disbelief. I'm like, this cannot be. I was shaking my head, just shaking my head. And then what happened afterward was soon followed. Even really had me shaking my head in disgust. The way people leaving comments in the comment section, joking, mocking, selling merchandise. Who does some sick ish like that? Only demons do that. We walking around some demons. People are dead inside. I made a video the other day on one of my channels where I said people who celebrate someone's death are dead inside. They have no soul. People are sick and deranged, and rightfully so. There was some people on Delta Airlines and I think American Airlines got suspended for the social media posts that they made mocking his death. Rightfully so, they got suspended. Sick. And then you have people that are still disagreeing with other people because of what he said. For example, the way the black community is right now. I cannot comment that. I'm in Atlanta. I don't have time to debate nobody. And I've already said that before. Once I say something, it's up to you to either take it or leave it. I'm not going to sit there and argue with you because it's like I'm going around a roundabout and nobody's exiting to go on another street. We're just going around this roundabout. We're not getting anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're just going around this circle. I'm not gonna play these games going around in circles, man. And then it turns to something violent because you disagree with what I said. Many people are not mature. One thing I realized after I graduated out of high school is that I have not really graduated out of high school. I'm still in school because the people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, they act like freaking children that have yet to mature. Even when I'm driving on the road, I see people doing stupid things. They will be ready to put a bullet in you. I remember one time last year, and I really didn't tell everybody this. I was on the way to the community center. Well, it was not community center, but I would say a community center, but also a recreation center, like the next county from me. Even though we're in the same close proximity, it's in a different county. And I was driving, and I was going around a curve. Now, this is a no passing zone. As most of us know in America, the way the roads is set up, the double solid lines, if you're traveling on a back way or a back road or the service route, whichever term y'all know what I'm talking about. The broken line on your side means you can pass the other car on the left. You can get on that side and then pass. And pass with care. This guy passed me not only double solid lines, but while going around a curve. And normally I don't pay that too much mind. I know people drive stupid anyway. People are on a different timeline, so you just have to watch out and cover your senses when you're driving on the road anyway. But I remember I was driving and I finally caught up to him. And I wasn't even speeding. I wasn't trying to catch up to him, but I caught him at the traffic light. So as I was passing him, he was in the turning lane. I just looked, to see who was driving. I kind of gave him like a look a little bit, but like I said, I was dumb. You don't want to instigate things to more than what it actually is. I could have just kept straight, and whatever was, which I'm gonna tell y'all to happen next, would have never happened. So he had passed me, but then he stopped because everybody else in front of him had turned into the neighborhood, which was to the left. He rolled down his window. He said, what the F you looking at, nigga? He was like, oh, you really want to get down? He's like, you really on, you say you really want to mess with me and all that stuff. He just continued to go on and on and on and on. And when I said I looked at him in his face, I didn't look like for long, like I didn't stare at him, but I looked at him long enough to see that his teeth was all dirty and crooked. I'm like, man, this guy's probably smoking something. He's probably crazy, because I'm like, this dude passed me going around a curve, not only on the double solid lines, but going around a curve. So, just don't be looking at people any kind of way. If they do something stupid, just let them continue on, and whatever happens, the law enforcement eventually will catch up to them, because if they continue to keep those crazy driving habits up, they're eventually going to get stopped and they're going to get corrected. But just leave it up to just leave it up to the law enforcement or whatever. So I looked at him, and then I motioned. I said, well, I didn't say anything, but I motioned, and I pointed. I said, the light's green. Go ahead and turn. The light is green. He kept going on and on and on. He put his hood on and all that stuff. I ain't gonna lie. I was kind of shaken up a little bit, but I had the balls to even do what I did, because I'm like, people just do not think. Somebody could have come around that curve and there would have been a head-on collision. And you know how accidents happen. Once a car hits you at a good speed, you can probably flip, you can probably spin out of control, hit someone else nearby with your car. That could have happened to me. So that's why it's like, people do not have any soul out here. And he was black, so that was expected. Not to be generalizing, but there's a difference between blacks and niggas. I'm just being real. Nobody wants to say this. This is why we're in the mess we're in right now, because nobody does not want to take accountability. All in the name of being offended. Offended by everything, but ashamed of nothing. If that's how the saying goes, I probably butchered it. But it gets very tiring that people don't want to look inwardly, but they'll be so quick to disagree with somebody or take things the violent way because they called them out on their mess. Crazy times we live in. And it's not getting any better. The country is so divided right now. The whole world is looking at us in the very messed up state that we're in. Like, I can't believe it. People actually laughing on social media. Like, it just makes me just shake my head of how disgusting human beings can be, showing no remorse. And right now, I've already came into some times where there was race thrown in a conversation, and as far as with Trump or whatnot. And while I don't agree with everything that Trump has done, I respect him for standing on principles and morality. The other stuff with the Epstein list, I'm still keeping that in the back of my head. I'm not letting that go. You know, that is still a very, very, very important issue that we want to get to the bottom of soon. And for people to say, oh, well, Trump's name is on the list. Trump's name is on the list. Of course he is, along with the other people. Why do you think if they, okay, Trump's name's on the list, right? Okay, that's fine. His name will probably be on the list, along with others. Some of them probably had nothing to do with the things that Epstein was charged with. None of that, the diabolical, disgusting things that he did. But it's just a simple fact that their names are on there. But we don't know what they did. I'm just throwing that up. I'm just saying. But as far as with Trump's name being on there, if they really wanted to get Trump, why didn't they release the files? Why? Because their names are on there. The previous administration, their names are on there. People of the Democrat Party, their name is on there too. So they're both screwed. If they were to release that files, there would be people in the public, and this is sad. This, like I said, immorality is at an all-time high. People will be ready to ask for your head to be cut off. So these people are shaken up and they're scared because they know that it's more of us than there's more of them. And understand this. It's the people that is in the higher ups, above Trump, above Biden, above all of them, that's really running this show. So it's like it's kind of out of their control. But see, the thing with Trump, he's going a little bit more against the grain. He's going a little bit more against, but he knows his limits though, because he already had 2 assassination attempts. And that really, within itself, that should really tell you within itself where we are. That right there should really tell you who's really standing up against the opposition, who's really standing up against these evils that we don't even see. And I'm not saying that Trump is the most perfect man. I already told you, there's things I agree and disagree with what he's done. He is not perfect, and definitely not Kamala and Biden or any of the people that's on the left. But at least he has more balls on him to call certain things out that these politicians would not do. And what I don't understand is, why are people taking offense of him employing the National Guards in these high crime rated areas? Why? And even with Chicago, they are forever stacking up on incidents that happen every week. Somebody dying from from a shooting, gang related. People have the nerve to fight against that, to fight against keeping crime controlled, all in the name of, oh well, they can't help it, you know, they're black. Like, come on, like, the white man's oppressing us. Yeah, you know what, you are right. The white man has oppressed you to think a certain kind of way. And whenever somebody else does good outside of the community, we like, oh, look at him over there. Look at that nigga over there. He think he all that. And they have to move out of the hood, because if they stay in the hood with, you know, them rising up and becoming a better person, they will receive all the jealousy. And then guess what? They're going to be the next victim that's being reported on the news of a shooting that happened in the weekend. People don't want to call this out, all in the name of being offended. That's why right now I really don't really say much when I'm out, even around family, around friends, because people will take offense to it. We got to stop getting so much in our feelings. It's just because, oh, well, we feel this way. But then we're ignoring the fact, and it's going to come later on to hurt us. And right now, it's just only getting worse because nobody is holding each other accountable in the black community. But whenever a person of a different race does it, then all of a sudden it's racist. This is sad. Charlie's gone. And some people that don't even know who Charlie is, mocking him, don't even know him. They just hearing it based off what other people said just because he died. Just because he got shot, he got assassinated. Certain YouTube channels are already making up things. They've thrown what hit some of the words that he said in the video. They don't show things in full context. And I don't think I said this to y'all before, but when y'all do your research, y'all don't want to look at some 20-second clip on CNN, some 20-second clip on MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC. Y'all don't want to do that. Because what y'all doing is y'all are training your brains, and I told this to myself too. Y'all are literally training your brains to stay attentive for just a short amount of time. You don't want to do the necessary work, mental work, to do the research, thorough research before you jump to conclusions. And then guess what? You have to come back later on with an apology saying, oh, I didn't look at things into context. That's fine. That's fine. Sometimes we make mistakes. There's times where I've done that. But when you make that a habit, it's going to stick with you. And then you get settled in your ways. So whenever somebody shows you or tell you something like, oh, I didn't see that part. Oh, you're lying. But then once you show them the full video, then they realize they have a lot of research they have to do on a lot of other things that they did not watch in its entirety. Why? Because they looked at CNN, and look, I'm not trying to just say, oh, leftist outlets, but even some, outlets on the right, like Fox. You have to look at things in its entirety. Because whichever news outlet you're looking at, they're going to have their bias. They're not going to show things in its entirety. Why? Because they have an agenda to push. They have propaganda to push. Do your research. When somebody shows you something on social media, what you gonna do? You gonna believe that, or you gonna and stick with that and go with that, or you gonna do the necessary research to make sure, is that video even real? Case in point, I was at work. My coworker, he showed me a video about Joel Osteen. It was something about Joel Osteen and his church in Texas had made a missile, so that way, if the in order to like protect himself, it was so sketchy when I heard it. I'm like, this don't sound real. Like Joel Osteen was trying to create his own like army in the church. I'm like, this don't make any sense. But when he was talking to me, he was like, yeah, some of these mega churches are, crazy, and the pastors are crazy. I said, okay, that's understandable. But I said, where was this on? He said, oh, TikTok. I said, all right, you know what? Let me search this on Google. Searched it, nowhere to be seen. You know where I found it at though, right? You know where I found it out on? Instagram. Turns out the video was a skit. And that's why I say it's so important for you to do your research. Individual. Not relying on somebody else going based off the first thing that you heard. Do your thorough research before you start jumping to conclusions. Because sometimes it will cost you. telling you, people will twist things. We're living in the age of AI. Things becoming very, it can be easy for you to tell which is real and what is not. But if you become programmed so much to where you just consuming short second clips of whatever it is, and you're not doing longer videos and doing the necessary research, you're going to believe something, even though it may be AI generated, lying on someone. It could be lying on you. Somebody can literally do that because you did not do the necessary research. You just believe the first video that you see without proving its authenticity. Excuse my I'm stuttering. And that's another thing. We need to really start reading again, because I'm finding out that some people, even me, I already told you, I'm no better than the next person that's struggling to me. I'm finding that we cannot spell the simplest words anymore. We cannot even formulate we can't even formulate sentences or the words right no more, because of too much screen time and consumption. I try my best to stay away from my phone. The only problem I have, like I said, is with YouTube. Instagram, stayed off of there. TikTok, I haven't been back on there in a while. But I know I have to get back on there in order to put the content out there. But it's just gotten to a point to where I've been kind of tired of doing that. And I've taken breaks because of how negative things can get. But that's all I have for this episode. And as I've stated, really trying to get things straight on this podcast channel. It's kind of been all over the place. We're really supposed to have every episode once a week on Sunday, uploaded and done on Sunday. But as I was stating before in the previous episodes, is that I've been the only one that's been able to do them, because the other guys, Jonathan and Josh, they have other things that's kind of taking most of their schedule up, or eating most of their schedule up. So working on adding more equipment, definitely for storage, because right now what I'm working with is my iPad, my phone, and tripod and a lapel mic, which I'm using right now. This one my aunt had got for me like maybe 6 years ago, and I'm using it. I have to use what I have. Gotta improvise. You can't be complaining and be like, oh well, I don't have this, I want this equipment, that equipment. Use what you have. Grow with what you have. So that way, once you grow with what you have, you can handle the bigger things that come. See, God, He knows what you can handle for right now. He wants to see how you're able to keep up and be responsible of the things that you have. And once He sees that you are responsible for what you require right now, He will entrust you to handle bigger things later down the road. But that's all I have for this episode 5 of Putting Things into Perspective. I'll leave your comments in the comment section down below, any opinions, any insights, But until the next one, remember to put things into perspective. This is Jawan, signing out.